You know, both the Bible and the Holy Quran teach very plainly that Satan has deceived the whole world. We read in the Bible, in the book of Revelations, where it talks about Satan, that old dragon, that beast, has deceived the whole world. And we read about this shaitan in the Holy Quran, who promised that he would make all of the people of God deviate from his path. So we find where we live in a world that, based on the scriptures of Bible, Quran, has been given over to Satan. So we live in a world that everybody, for the most part, has been deceived under Satan's influence, under his tricknology. But how? By what methods has this taken place? Well, we can get in a whole nother discussion about that. We can deal with religion, how religion has deceived the people, education, law, politics, you name it, genocide. But I think the Honorable Louis Farrakhan probably said it best when he said that Satan offers the people a substitute world. See, for everything that God offers the people that's natural, that's right, that is correct, Satan always offers a substitute. He offers an alternative to what God made. So even when you look at the natural elements of things that we consume every day, bread, rice, sugar, in their natural state, we find these things in a dark brown state, you know, sugar, bread, rice, you name it. But it seems as though when these natural things that are from God gets into the hands of the enemy always has a way of processing things, giving a substitute. So he'll take the bread, he'll take the rice, he'll take the sugar, but he'll process it and he'll bleach it, and in doing so he'll rob it of its natural nutrients, and then he'll give it back to the people and say, this is from God. After it's been robbed of all its nutrients, after it's been bleached. So you don't have real sugar, you have equal, NutraSweet. But look, even when it comes to religion and God, Satan has even processed his version of God, his version of the prophets. So when we look at Jesus in his natural state, we find a black, dark man, don't we? But what does Satan do? He processes them, he bleaches them, he robs them of his nutrients, and then he presents it back to the people and says, this is your Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. But these things may seem innocent. It may seem cute or funny, hilarious. They may even seem educational. Oh, they're teaching something. But what we're actually being taught to do at an early age is literally accept lies. And we're fixing our minds at an early age to accept lies. So we train ourselves to believe that a white man can fly through the sky in a cape from Krypton to save humanity, reinforcing the ideals of white supremacy. So literally Superman, from what we look from the comics and the movies, hell, he's basically God. But one of the interesting things is that what he mentioned and what took place often during slavery is that white folks didn't always come directly into the interior of Africa and capture black folks themselves. You know what they did? They used and paid other black folks from other tribes to go and kidnap children and people from different tribes and bring them to them. Now that's horrible, isn't it? But you know what? It's not any different today when you and I are in the military. Just as you had black Africans doing the bidding of white folks then at the expense of their own people, here we are today joining the military, being sent overseas, fighting people we don't even know who the hell they are, in a land that we can't even find on a map, at the bidding of white folks and at the expense of the darker people of the earth. What's the difference? No better. One was just then, another one's now. When the Europeans started to invade and colonize all over the world, particularly in Africa, we find that the greatest resistance that the Europeans had in attempting to colonize Africa came from those Muslim states. That's why Islam has always been a problem for white folks. Because as long as you had your African tribal, just regular tribal culture going on, the Caucasian was able to come and easily subvert that people, easily subvert that nation. But it was only when Islam was present that you found Africans standing up and fighting the hell back. And they realized this. This is why this man that you probably don't even know, the first one, Lothrop Stoddard, the first white man, looks very sinister right there with the mustache. Lothrop Stoddard, he wrote a book in the 20s called The Rising Tide of White World Supremacy or something like this. And he outlines, it's a very thick book too, by the way, and he outlines why we have to do something about Islam if we want to continue to subvert Africa. He was a strategist. And he realized that Islam was in the way, and he even tells why Islam was in the way of them taking over Africa. He's the one who said that Islam brings out those natural militant propensities in the black African. Because everywhere that Islam went, it brought out the warrior in the African. Because you can't be no punk and be a Muslim. You can't turn the other cheek and just be a Muslim. Your people are being colonized and you just gonna sit there? So when America, the early Europeans set up what they called America, one of the first things that they wanted, the first principles, was to never allow Islam to get any kind of stronghold over here. I'm talking about the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We challenge the theologians. Hell, we challenge the scientists. When have you ever had any kind of so-called religious teaching that can literally withstand scientific scrutiny? See, the problem that we have is that we never take the time to even study what the man taught. We rather just throw everything that he says away, saying that he's racist or something like that, to justify not even listening to what the man brought.